it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with some bingeable and addicting romance series. All of these are romances that I have read at least 2 books in, and I think that they are perfect if you're in the mood to just binge a series. Now, when I binge a series, it's typically on audio, so I do have a few of these that I've binged on audio, and there are also ones that I just absolutely loved, and the endings sometimes are a cliffhanger, sometimes they are just standalone series where I need to have the next couple's book, but all of them are ones where I loved it enough to continue on with the series, and I think that they are perfect to pick up and just binge at once. So I'll get to them. Before I get to my book, so I wanted to show you my gorgeous sweatshirt. You can't really see it when I'm standing down, but when I get on my tiptoes, this is my Wuthering Heights sweatshirt. So it says, "Whatever our souls are made of, his and mine are the same," and it has just this gorgeous like floral pattern around it. I was sent this from Wuthering Boutique Shop from Instagram and Teespring, so I'll link their Instagram down below, but they have a Teespring shop and I'm a rep for them. If you use Peace10, you'll save 10%. Wuthering Heights is so special to me because it is one of the first classics that I fell in love with, and then I was an English lit minor in college and I'm an English teacher now, so it's really impacted me as a reader, and just the angsty romance in there I was dead for. I read it in AP 11 when I was in high school. Obsessed. So I'm obsessed with my new sweatshirt. I love it so much, and check it out if you're interested. Tons of other stuff in that shop, but I'll go ahead and get to bingeable romance series that I recommend. The first one, I'm gonna have some contemporary, some new adult, some historical. So the first one is going to be historical, and that is the Wild in Love series by Eloisa James. The prequel just came out a couple weeks ago. I think it was last week, and I got to interview Eloisa on Instagram, which was really exciting. I did an Instagram live with her and I was fangirling a lot. She was one of the first historical romance authors I've ever read, but because the prequel is coming out, I've only read 4, 5, and 6 of the series, and then I went back and binged 1, 2, 3 in a row on audio. The audios are fabulous. I really love this series. Some of them are not my favorite, but then some of them are like 4 or 5 stars, so you get a mixed bag in this series, but I loved them so much I didn't stop. So even though book 1 was a 3-star for me, book 2 was 4, book 3 was 5, I think book 4 I gave 5 stars. I just love this series so much. They're all siblings, they're all the Wild siblings. The prequel is their parents. They're so good, and like for the beginning ones, they're like adventurers that everybody loves. They're kind of like celebrities, and it's so much fun. Book 3 is my favorite though, so that's all I'll say. It's kind of second chance, kind of forbidden. It's so good. This whole series is great. I can't really tell you plots of the whole series, just like in general what they're about, because all the books are different plots. So, but this follows a group of siblings. I have a lot of sibling series in this, but the next one is the Wright Brothers series by Christina C. Jones. I've listened to 2 of these, and I have the 3rd one loaded up on my audio from the library, and these are again about siblings, so they're the Wright brothers. The first 2 at least are kind of office romances, workplace romances. The first one, she's a teacher's assistant for her mother, who's a teacher at college, and she falls for one of the students who is her age, and it's kind of hate to love as well. It's really great. And the next one's hate to love too, but he is a OBGYN and she is a nurse trying to become a nurse practitioner, and he is super mean to her, but like it's more of along the lines of he's mean because he likes her, and there's like intense chemistry between them. They work with each other, and he's constantly like putting her down and criticizing her, and she's not taking any of his crap from him, and it's so good. I really love these 2 first ones in the series. Flew through them on audio. The next one's a beloved series, again about siblings, and it is the Morgan Brothers series by Lauren Rowe. I listened to all these when Audible Escape was a thing. I used to have Audible Escape in the summer, and then it's gone now, but you might be able to find these probably on Audible, maybe through your library, maybe on Scribd. But these are all about brothers, and they are so funny. These are just so lighthearted. When I know I need something that I'm gonna love and that I'll fly through, I go to this series. I read it completely out of order. I would probably recommend reading it in order. I did not give any one of these less than 4 stars. They're so fun. We have some hate to love, we have some friends to lovers, we have workplace, we have every single trope you want is in this series, and the family aspect of the series is amazing. I loved how close everyone was, and some of them are not necessarily siblings because Mr. Bodyguard is actually one of the guy's best friends and he gets his own book, but we do have a lot of the siblings in here and they all show up in each other's books. I love this series, just so fun. If you want a fun romance, check this out. The next one is the Fake Boyfriend series by Eden Finley. I binged through the first 2 and I haven't continued on yet. These are at my library, and again, these are audiobooks that I binge. I think almost all of these are audiobooks that I just could not put down. These are all fake dating, and at least the first two are MM. I don't know if the entire series is MM, but they have athletes. So in our first one, he's an ex-baseball player and he got injured, and so he is trying to be a sports agent, and the other guy needs a fake boyfriend because his hometown all thinks he's gay, because that's how he broke up with his last girlfriend. And then he like realizes that there's a lot more to his sexuality than he was aware of or wanted to admit or explore. So our main character is really forced to explore his sexuality, acknowledges that it's an awful thing to do to pretend to be gay to get out of dating someone. And the love interest is like, who is the ex-baseball player, he's like, I don't want to be with someone like that, like that's awful. And he's been burned before in the past, and this one was just so good. Oh my gosh. The second one I didn't love as much, but I loved seeing the characters in here, and it's again fake dating with a football player. I think he was a football player, pretty sure he's a football player, and the best friend of the guy in the first book. And then I think book 3 is another fake dating book with a different couple. I'm pretty sure that's all fake dating if it's called the Fake Boyfriend series, but at least the first two flew through. Love the first one. The second one wasn't as good, but still love the series. Again, the next one's kind of, you have to have just like a fun story for me to want to binge all of them, and that's the Castles Ever After series by Tessa Dare. I feel like people love her Girl Meets Duke series more, but I think I love this series more. It's so fun. I think the thing that ties them in is that they are just women who have inherited castles. They don't really overlap at all, but I love this series, and this is the one I actually recommended to my sister as her first historical romance. She's listening to this one on audio, and I think she's really enjoying it, so I'm excited my sister's starting to read historical now, and they're so good. She inherits a castle in this one, and there's a blind duke living there, and it's his castle, but she just inherited it, so a little bit of drama going on there. It's so good, and there's one, Scott Ties and Knots, my favorite. So good, but they're all just historical goodness, but they're so readable and just so fun and don't take themselves too seriously, but we still have some serious aspects, like the blind duke in this one has a really harsh past and he's very brooding and damaged, and I just love him. So the entire series is amazing. I couldn't recommend it enough. Next is the Fire Blood Dragon series by Ruby Dixon. These are dragon shifter post-apocalyptic series. I think I forgot to mention, I've done a video about my favorite series before, so I'll link all 3 of those down below. I think I have 3 different ones: standalone series, non-standalone series, and then another just Addicting series one. I've mentioned the Ice Planet Barbarian series, but Ruby Dixon has this Dragon Shifter series, which are so good, and it is post-apocalyptic, so like dragons have come and take over the world, and a lot of times the females are like left to be like sacrifices to entice the dragons, and the females are actually their mates, and they are the ones that keep them sane, because the dragons are dragon shifters, and they have a really complicated past, which we get in the books, and they are slowly losing like their sanity, but the women like ground them, and it's really good and really fascinating. I love these books. I think I read the first 3, and then my library didn't have them anymore, and I didn't have Audible Escape anymore, but I really want to figure out how to get the rest of them. They're probably on Scribd somewhere, but I love this series so much. If you want something kind of like Ice Planet Barbarians but with a different kind of setting, you would love this one. Next, I've only read the first 2, and I'm pretty sure there's 3, possibly 4, but I don't think the 4th come out yet, and that is the Royal Hearts Academy series by Jade. These are new adult romances, and I loved them. I really have been outgrowing new adult, but this series I still loved, and I was surprised by how much I loved it, and the couples definitely are hinted at throughout the books. So we have our first main couple in book 1, and it's Hate to Love. Our second couple is fake dating, and she's plus size and he's like the bully of the school, so they're all like bully new adult romances. And then the third one's actually the sister of the 2 guys in the first 2 books. Trigger warning for these though, because they do lose a sibling, and that's why the first hero hates the girl in the first book, because he blames her for his brother's death. So lots of grief and death of a loved one in this one, and of course bullying, so keep that in mind going into the series. I haven't read the 3rd one yet. It is the sister's book. I'm excited for that, and I think there's gonna be a 4th one. I don't know, but they're really good new adult romances. Then I have the Destiny series by Beverly Jenkins. This is my favorite series by her. This one specifically is my favorite book by her. It's Andrew and Billy's story. She is a sex worker, and it's so good, and Andrew doesn't want to like be tied down, but he does. These are all siblings. The first one wasn't my favorite, but then 2 and 3 are amazing. 3 is like kind of a pirate romance, and she's the pirate, so they're really good. And their mom also has a really sweet romance interwoven throughout the books that like doesn't conclude until the 3rd one, and they're so good. Oh my gosh, you guys. Best historical romance series by Beverly Jenkins that I've read. They're amazing. Then I have to finally say the Green Creek series by TJ Klune, because I just finished book 2. I read book 1 in December. Absolutely loved it. One of my favorite books of all time. And then I loved it so much that I was scared to read more because I didn't want them to be over. So I didn't pick up book 2, Raven Song, until last week during the Paranormal Romance Readathon. Absolutely loved it. They're werewolf romances. Ox and Joe is in this one. Pretty big age gap, and it spans from when Ox is really young to when he's in his mid-20s. So we have a lot of time span between these, and there's a lot going on with the pack. Joe's the werewolf, Ox is human, and the pack comes to live in Green Creek, and that's where Ox lives. And Ox lives pretty much next door to them. Him and Joe meet when they're really young. Nothing really physical happens until they're like in their 20s, so it's not weird with the age gap at all, but it's so nice. There's a found family with Ox with the pack, and I love the werewolf aspects of it. It's just so good. The humor's amazing, the writing's amazing. Book 2 is Gorda, who's a witch with a werewolf, and that's Second Chance. And then we have the other 2 books, which are certain characters. I don't want to spoil those. So the first 2 though are so amazing, very slow, very character driven, but I absolutely adored them. So could not recommend the series enough. I can't talk about series without mentioning my favorite, and that is the Mckenzies and Mcbride series by Jennifer Ashley. The first 4 are my favorite. The first 4 are the Mckenzie brothers. We have Ian in this one, and then we have Isabella with Mac, and then we have Cameron, and then we have the 4th brother, whose name I always forget. I think it starts with an H. I don't remember. He's the oldest. He's the most brooding one, but they're so good. The family is so important in these. They all show up in each other's books, and you really see them in these books. We have Isabella and Mac in here, and you can see their like brooding relationship, and you want their books, and then you get book 2, and then you see Cameron, and then you want book 3, and it's just like a whole chain where you like literally need to read the next book now. I will say after the first 4, they're just okay because they're characters that aren't really part of their family. They're the Mcbrides, which I think are like vaguely related to them, but aren't like the core 4, and the 5th one was okay. I didn't love it, but the first 4 I absolutely loved. I think I gave all of them 5 out of 5 stars. I'm obsessed. Then there's the Reluctant Royal series by Alyssa Cole. All of these are a lot of fun, and I definitely read them out of order. I think I went 2, 1, 3, and there's also a novella, and they're all just have to do with royals, so some of them do show up in them. So I read book 2 first, but I think the guy in book 2 did show up in book 1, and they're all very different. So book 1, he is a prince, and he's like reaches out to this girl in America and is like, hey, you're my betrothed, and she thinks it's like spam and realizes it's actually a real prince, and he does keep his identity secret when they first meet. So if you have a problem with that, avoid that book, but I didn't mind it. It came to light eventually, and it was a lot of fun. These are just so much fun. I listened to the audiobooks of all of them. I think I might have read physically book 2, but 1 and 3 I listened to the audios. 3 was really fun too. It was in Scotland, and she was younger than him and worked for him, and that was fun too. So they're all really fun. Have to do with royals in modern day. Can't recommend Alyssa Cole's romances enough. And the last series I have is the From Blood and Ash series by Jennifer Armentrout. Yes, I'm going to talk about it again because I immediately pre-ordered book 2. I read book 1 after it was released, like 2 or 3 months after, and I don't know why I waited so long because it was fabulous. The cliffhanger in this will have you dying to read this one. Book 2 was not my favorite, but I'm still dying to read book 3. So when all of these are out, I definitely recommend just picking them all up and binging them because there's cliffhangers after every one, especially book 1. The romance was amazing in book 1. This one really is more of a bridge book between book 1 and 3, so like I'm dying for book 3. They are fantasy. We have a woman who's a maiden, and Hawk is her new guard, and it's a bodyguard maiden romance story. So good. She does have powers too, and there's a lot of secrets in their society, so I love them. And those are some bingeable romance series that I would recommend. Let me know down below if you have any recommendations for me, especially if the series has audiobooks that I can find and listen to, because I'm all for binging on audio. They're just so fun and fast to get through, and I just want to keep on reading them. So that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching, and have a good day. Bye.